Sodexo is the new food service for South Dakota regional schools, including SD State. Their soft launch began this month with big changes coming in August when students return for the fall semester. Doug Wormadal is the Assistant Vice President for Student Affairs, and he oversees Sodexo's implementation on campus. He is here to talk about what new dining options students can look forward to. Thanks for being here today, Doug.
Happy to do it, Heidi.
So is this, would you say, like the biggest dining implementation, like overhaul that has happened on our campus in probably like 9-10 years?
Oh, it's probably the biggest in 20 years. When I got here in 1998, Aramark had just started their contract. They had been in place a couple years already at that point. But it's unusual for a service provider to maintain that kind of contract that long. And there are certainly innovations along the way. We've definitely added sites, Chick-Fil-A, Panda Express, Starbucks being the most recent one. So there's been plenty of sort of innovation in those 20 years. But this innovation will create probably the biggest change. Won't happen this fall. We'll start work on that next year, which is the complete remodel to Larson Commons. And that hasn't been done since the facility, including the kitchen, that hasn't been done since the 60s. And so Sodexo will provide a major investment in that. But students will see right away the impact of Sodexo's arrival on campus with some major facelift and new service and expanded hours at the Hansen C-Store. So something for our folks on the west side. A sushi bar called Wild Blue, and an Asian-centered cuisine in main bowls. And then probably the biggest change in terms of what students are really excited about is the Qdoba edition that's coming into the Union Market.
Those are all super exciting. Would you say that they have like pretty expanded menus, or are they kind of more abbreviated? Sometimes with chains, students look for something particular, and then, it may be a little bit of a pick and choose kind of thing.
Right. Well, it'll be certainly with Qdoba, you'll see the menu that they offer at their like the mall food court type stores. Sure. With Wild Blue, that's our first offering of any kind of sushi on campus. We've had some, certainly with Panda Express, we had some Asian cuisine. The main bowls is probably a little more emphasis on the vegetable and healthier options. Sure. Versus the fried. There'll still be some of that available, but that menu will focus a little more on the healthy options.
Speaking of healthy options, returning students, if they have like certain dietary needs or restrictions, they kind of get into the same groove of eating the same thing over and over. They're like, I know what I can eat, I know what I can order, and now all of this new change is coming. Would you say there are still like good options for students who need kind of specific foods?
Oh, absolutely. One of the popular places under Aramark was the service site called Clean Plate. Yeah. And that was sort of a menu that responded to excluding the top 5 allergens: shellfish, gluten, dairy, eggs, those sorts of things. And they provided that under fresh preparation every day with exclusive cooking surfaces and utensils so that there was never any cross-contamination with other sites. And Sodexo has a very simple program as well. It's called Serve Simply, or Simply Serve, rather. And its emphasis is on clean ingredients and the allergen-free preparation that will be offered at Larson and also in the Union.
That's great. So we talk about all these new places that are coming, but can you reiterate what places are going to stay?
Sure. Obviously, I think the ones that folks are the most interested in are Chick-Fil-A and Starbucks, sure. And those both stay without any changes at all. There'll be a pizza place. It'll be rebranded, but there'll be pizza in the Union. There'll be noodles. These and those noodles also stays with some cosmetic changes and some upgrades to the service areas. Herberts and Gerberts in Larson stays. Its C-Store in Larson stays. The dairy bar stays. We'll probably switch out our coffee supplier there. Sure. I believe we're going to go to from Java City to a Caribou.
Oh, nice.
So there'll be an opportunity for Caribou coffee again on campus. Hansen will change, so there's not anything really static in Hansen, but those will be the ones that stay the same.
Obviously, the union will look very different in terms of food service options, but let's talk about the 2 C-stores on campus.
Sure.
I think students will be really excited for those. Tell me about what's coming for those.
Well, I'm really excited about our response of innovation on the campus's west side into that Hansen C-Store, which had, we'd gotten some concerns from students about hours and about the menu being limited. And so we tried to address that in this change. So we're going to have 3 robotic services, cutting-edge technology. Students will have access to them, if not 24/7, very near 24/7. So certainly the latest service available on campus. For our Meadows and Hansen residents, it'll be very convenient, but other students can use the service too. And so it'll be 3 robotic machines. One is called LaBread Express, and that uses a dough to create a personal-sized pizza and or a pastry item. Then another one is called Yokai Noodle Vendor, and that is a high-end ramen experience with fresh veggies and fresh noodles. And then another one is a Starbucks Serenade machine, which is an espresso and brewed coffee solution. All automated, all computerized, all sort of self-checkout like you would at Hy-Vee or Lewis or Walmart, but also all fresh every day. We have staff that are devoted to just making sure that those ingredients are where they're supposed to be. If students want to go onto YouTube and search for Yokai Noodle Vendor, they can see one of those in action. We'll be one of the few campuses with that new technology in place.
That's awesome. Speaking of new technology, Starship stays too, right?
Yeah, Starship has proved pretty popular. And I think with the new Sodexo management, we're going to be able to expand not only hours of availability, which was challenging as the contract wound down in the spring, but also we're going to be able to have it at more locations. So I'm looking forward to an even bigger implementation with Starship in the fall.
That'll be great. Let's talk about maybe some concessions, like at games and stuff. Do you have any idea of what that will look like?
Well, probably the biggest change was also student-led there, Heidi. At the most recent board meeting, and I think when I say recent, I mean just last week, a student-led effort had kind of come to fruition in terms of a request to offer alcohol sales into the general admissions areas of the stadium. And the board provided unanimous approval of that. So we're moving towards implementation of alcohol sales into the general admission seats at both at the athletic venues, but also at performing arts venues. So this will be something that can accompany plays, accompany athletic contests. We need to do it smartly, and I'm sure with the students leading the effort, everybody understands that there'll be a heavy emphasis placed on doing IDs and making sure that someone's of legal age. There'll also be an emphasis on providing non-alcoholic sections in those spaces, so those patrons that would choose not to participate would not have that in their immediate seating area. So it looks like a really balanced implementation of a student-led effort.
So more details on that to come that students and patrons can look forward to. Anything else you think that students and, the community members can look forward to when they come on
Sure.
campus?
I forgot to mention probably another big change, particularly in the Union, Heidi. We're going to return to in-person service at the Union coffee station, so that won't be just a mobile order pickup. But probably the biggest news past Qdoba in the Union is we're going to put a C-Store in the Union as well.
Really?
Yes. So that's another addition. And in that space that is in that main market servery area, there was a space over to what would be the north side that had some freezer cases and those sorts of things. Also a point of sale, a cash register. We're going to square that off and create a C-Store probably about the size of that Hansen space just for Union customers. So other folks or students who enjoyed Larson or Hansen because they lived there or live close by, students who commute to campus are going to have a C-Store option right in the Union. And we've never offered that before, so another innovation from our friends at Sodexo.
That's great. And then what about the Weary Wills space?
Staffing is continuing to be a challenge. There's nothing about a switch to Sodexo that creates more employees.
Right.
So our switch to or our usage of a food truck vendor in that space will continue because they can access the local labor market a bit more efficiently than the national companies can. And so we'll continue to offer Shorty's Hot Box in that space with the idea of eventually returning to campus-run service, but it'll start in pretty much that same place. And Shorty's Hot Box really kind of hit their stride in the second half of spring semester. They operated, I think, probably 4 or 5 days a week, and so we were able to get back to closer to regular hours with that approach.
That's great. Since this is, coming out in the summer and students are thinking about, when they do come to campus, maybe they're looking for a job. Is Sodexo hiring students?
Oh, absolutely. That is one of the key demographics they'll rely on in rounding out their staff. And at full staff in the past, we've employed up to 300 and 400 students.
Wow.
So Sodexo will be definitely looking to add students not only to their sort of hourly frontline staff, but they have student managers and higher paid and folks that anticipate a career in hospitality. So there's opportunities to advance for students there as well.
Thank you so much, Doug, for coming here today to speak with me about Sodexo and their implementation on campus. This is Between Classes. Thanks for listening.